Picture this for me. You're watching a movie, and suddenly, the questions start rising.
Who are these people? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And where the hell are they? As these questions continue to flood your consciousness, seemingly devoid of concrete answers, you are given no respite. Only more complicated questions evolving into an existential and aesthetical swirl of miasmic possibilities. Welcome to the Arthouse. Arthouse as we know it had its international cultivation in the late 1940s, playing a direct role in the spread and influence of the French New Wave in the following decade. Generally, film scholars define arthouse as unconventional media emphasizing symbolism, abstraction, and emotion, rather than being driven by fully ascertainable plots or narratives. Though that is a considerable oversimplification, it is true that many arthouse works by their very nature are designed to be esoteric and contemplative. This niche, in my opinion, above all others, has the strongest capabilities of exploring the very essence of the natural world and humanity's place in it.
It's basically another form of poetry, if that poetry was written by a dream.
However, these works often draw an overall dismissal from most of the mainstream public, which isn't unexpected, as their esoteric nature intrinsically appeals to select audiences. Say what you want about the current slates of seasonal anime, but heady arthouse properties usually end up cash vacuums, which further limits the resources available for subsequent projects, even if these works are regarded as masterpieces years down the road. Which brings us to Angel's Egg. Released in Japan in December of 1985, Angel's Egg was the brainchild of the famed Mamoru Oshii and the brilliant Yoshitaka Amano. Produced by Studio Dean, the fantasy centers around a girl protecting a giant egg in a world that constantly impresses as a sentient Salvador Dali painting. She gets stalked by a blank slate arriving on the turret of a tank, seemingly driven by his curiosity and what lies inside the egg's fragile shell. Every event, and the world itself, function without any heed paid to the audience.
It's as if we're observing an alien world inside an alternative reality, which is only meant for audiences of that reality.
Though this crudely simple breakdown may seem a bit sparse, the experience provides what traditional narrative can easily lack: pure, emotional atmosphere. Through gorgeous, seductive, and terrifying blends of music, animation, and artwork, this strange world forces us to abandon all preconceptions and simply brace for the unexpected. I'm not going to walk through this film in sequence because the only way you're going to get the most out of this experience is by watching the damn movie, but I will dissect a couple of my favorite scenes, so spoilers ahead, though I don't know what that's going to mean here. Though I can endlessly talk about the haunting opening sequence or the ethereal beauty of our protagonist waking from a deep sleep to brave the landscape scarred by unknown calamities, I'm going to jump a bit inward and focus on the sequence I call Fishing for Shadows. As the girl is lowering her defenses slightly around her would-be stalker, scores of men flood the public spaces, all chasing massive shadows of giant fish. They lob harpoons with reckless abandon, even throwing them through windows and destroying homes in their mindless pursuit. So Chris Stuckman did an Angel's Egg review where he discusses this sequence at length, positing it could stand as a symbol of man's endless and blind pursuit of the divine, with a few elements such as the stained glass of the shadowed fish possibly affirming this.
I would take it a step further by saying that this could exactly represent what Nietzsche meant when he wrote God is Dead.
It's often heavily implied Nietzsche's statement was on the Age of Enlightenment supplanting Europe's need for divinity, and that God was no longer needed in order for human societies to exist. He also pushed how humans could now turn their attention from miracles and acknowledge the value of the physical world.
However, as we all know, humans will find any reason to group together, and also subsequently any reason to tear each other apart.
So, this is where I land. While the men scurry around hunting for shadows of things that are long gone, they destroy the very things they have built and find comfort in, choosing to allow decay to creep into every facet of their world rather than adapting and progressing. We're able to focus on our physical world because our past infatuations are no longer tangible, but we insist on following the paths of our forebears because it's what we've always done. When we bind together, we can accomplish many things, as our similarities and pursuits define the direction of a civilization, but simultaneously, our consumption and recklessness usually leads to our own destruction. If you combine Stuckman's interpretations with mine, this sequence is less on how humans will continue to destroy ourselves in the pursuit of the divine, but more on how humans will continue to destroy ourselves because we are inherently self-destructive. As the girl says, there's no prize for the effort and the suffering, yet we continue in a cycle, forcing ourselves to suffer, almost for suffering's sake.
Yeah, and before you call me a Debbie Downer, I'm a nihilist, so your words mean nothing and your tears go great with gin.
But also take outside context as well. In Richard Suchensky's 2004 profile of Oshii for Senses of Cinema, he referenced the revised edition of Mamoru Oshii no Sekai, writing about Oshii's loss of faith and abandoning a possible life as a priest before the production of this film. This fresh spiritual wound is overly present in the next arc of the film. No, an actual biblical arc. It's revealed that the girl has been storing countless bottles of water, preparing to provide for the creature she believes dwells within her egg. The pair reveal how their memories of who and what they are shrouded in mystery, and that they do what they do because they always do and it's done now and they like that they did it.
This scene also has the most dialogue in the movie, so bask in it before words are abandoned completely.
After the girl falls asleep, the man takes the egg and breaks it open. The whole sequence again goes back to the points both Stuckman and I have made. While the death of a god can be a promise for newer beginnings, this loss is also profoundly devastating. It can result in a complete loss of purpose, resorting to our endless routines and the familiar as our only form of comfort in a world that is completely indifferent to us. The girl's faith is shattered when the man breaks the egg, not only because of her betrayal by the man whom she had begun to trust, but also because nothing is inside. What she has guarded, what she has held so fiercely onto, is ultimately fruitless, and ultimately nothing.
Oshii lost faith, and this film is full of painful echoes of that loss, and it's honestly something that I share.
When the last of my faith was shattered, I was in pain. I felt as if what I did had no meaning, that I was meaningless. I felt abandoned and used. It was only within the past few years I've come to terms with my absence of intrinsic belonging, and I am completely okay with it.
Angel's Egg manages to showcase this spiritual pain as something that's neither a positive nor a negative, just something that happens.
But we also need to take into account artistic intents behind the film as well. In an interview, Oshii stated, "The girl believes in the inside of the egg, but those contents are something that is not here now. In other words, if you don't split the egg, you will not know what is inside. Because of that, there was nothing inside when the boy broke the egg. The girl kept on living while believing in the things that do not exist. I think that the egg might represent dreams or hopes. That is, the things which are not here at the moment and only exist in the realm of possibility. However, I believe that in the real world, you won't meet people who have faith in dreams or hopes."
So you got 3 different points of view, and if you try to smush all these talking points together, what do you got? You got a goddamn mess is what you got, and honestly, that's exactly why this movie is so amazing.
There isn't a definitive way to see or interpret any scene, and to be clear, I've not been bashing on Stuckman's review. As a matter of fact, his influence on the movie's symbols and progression aided me greatly in trying to organize my own stance on the movie, and he makes a lot of really good points. But ultimately, it brings us back to where we were when I began, that Angel's Egg is equally all of these things and none of them, and that's the majesty of arthouse cinema. Y'all really owe it to yourselves to give the film a watch, and you'll get far more out of it on a personal level than you ever will watching another fucking analytical diatribe trying to determine what the goddamn this Dali hellscape fever dream is all about.
It's haunting. It's resonant. It's heartbreaking. It's got an amazing poster that makes an amazing shirt.
Even from a solely aesthetical perspective, it is consistent hand-drawn eye candy and a pinnacle of 1980s animation. Watch it. It is readily available in a lot of places.
So as we settle into our new release schedule, the next Academia Spotlight is a viewer recommendation. Green Green. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're headed back to the smut.
Made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.